Can't hide it anymore. Chinese CDC issues guidelines on wearing masks, putting COVID-19 in the first place. Senior media person. If the CP imposes blockade, significant issues could arise. Another Chinese real estate giant announces default. Powerlong owes billion Yuan debt. Chairman of Country Garden would sell everything to support the company. New research report. CCP identifies suppression of Falun Gong as top priority. It's all covered in today's China Truths. Can't hide it anymore. Chinese CDC issues guidelines on wearing masks, putting COVID-19 in the first place. Recently, there has been a significant surge in cases of the novel coronavirus on the Chinese mainland, with the Chinese Communist Party concealing the outbreak. As the number of confirmed cases and deaths continues to rise, the CCP is reluctantly starting to acknowledge the severity of the situation. On December 9, the National Health Commission of the CCP issued the guidelines for public wearing of masks for the prevention of respiratory infectious diseases in 2023. These guidelines underscore the importance of scientifically wearing masks for the enhanced prevention and control of respiratory infectious diseases such as COVID-19 and influenza. In response, some internet users expressed skepticism, questioning whether prominently featuring COVID-19 is an official warning or an acknowledgement that the situation can no longer be concealed, suggesting an attempt to shift blame. On December 10, a Weibo user claimed that his recent fever is surreal. He didn't have the flu, mycoplasma, pneumonia, or COVID-19. Blood tests revealed normal white blood cell counts. The doctor diagnosed it as a viral infection with a mild case of pneumonia. He has had a fever for 4 days, and these symptoms closely resemble the early days of COVID-19, severe body aches and a persistent high fever. The post received agreement from online users who added, "Patients in the hospital all have the same symptoms. Could it be a locally distinctive strain?" Despite speculation by experts and the public that a variant of the novel coronavirus is the primary cause of the ongoing epidemic in mainland China, the CCP has persistently denied this and has not shared any data with the international community. However, as the infection continues to spread and the number of deaths sharply rises in recent days, it can no longer be concealed. Does this force the CCP to quietly acknowledge the epidemic? Senior media person. If the CCP imposes blockade, significant issues could arise. Amid the epidemic spreading across China at the same time as the 1-year anniversary of the CCP lifting the zero-COVID lockdown, concerns are growing among the public that the authorities might reimpose lockdown measures. Former Chinese media professional Zhao Lanjian warns that if the CCP takes such action again, a major crisis could erupt in China. In an interview with the Vision Times on December 9, Zhao Lanjian stated, "We are at a critical juncture now. People's patience reached its limit during the white paper movement. Chinese people have collectively endured, especially withdrawing. Even so, they cannot endure it anymore unless life and spirit are on the brink. Otherwise, they won't take action." Although the white paper movement was quickly suppressed, the societal pressure relief valve has already manifested. As long as there is a bit more societal pressure approaching the level of the white paper movement, China will undoubtedly witness a violent revolution. With years of experience as a journalist in China, Zhao has a profound understanding of the Chinese people. He believes that due to decades of brainwashing, the average Chinese person has become numb and generally lacks insight into social issues. Awakening may only happen after experiencing significant hardship, and the 3-year zero-COVID policy and the white paper movement are crucial turning points. Furthermore, the zero-COVID approach has severely impacted the Chinese economy. Zhao estimates the CCP might face internal collapse, such as being unable to pay civil servants with all the military and law enforcement having no funds. If such a social crisis occurs, the day when the CCP falls from power is not far off. Zhao is one of the earliest independent media figures to issue warnings about the Chinese epidemic on social media. As early as mid to late November, he revealed that the pneumonia epidemic in China was intensifying with a tense atmosphere in Dalian and people starting to die. However, official information was blocked and any online content related to the epidemic was completely deleted from the entire internet. During the interview, Zhao also revealed that his heightened awareness of epidemics originated from the 2003 SARS outbreak. During that time, he worked as a journalist in Beijing, equipped with a camera, engaging with hospital directors and doctors. He witnessed unique situations, such as the deserted Changzhen Street in Beijing spanning kilometers. In the event of an outbreak in a community, armed police or doctors would encircle and seal off the affected area. Recalling an incident near the Gaobeidian subway station in Beijing across the Tongli River, Zhao Longjian observed individuals in white attire carrying stretchers, with at least 3 people being transported, while armed police stood guard nearby. Witnessing such scenes at a young age was profoundly unsettling for him, leaving him unsure of what to do. Later, he intentionally contacted the head of the inspection department at a specific hospital, which was entirely closed at the time, exclusively admitting SARS patients. According to him, the hospital's air was filled with viruses, leading to the extensive use of disinfectant. Even before the epidemic concluded, the disinfectant had corroded the hospital's drainage pipes. During that period, when Beijing Youth Daily and China Youth Daily conducted interviews, they went there to capture photos, fabricate propaganda, and intentionally refrained from reporting the severity of SARS, all in an effort to portray a positive image related to the treatment of SARS patients. Zhao also recognized the societal impact of authorities concealing the truth. Despite reaching out to many friends, they struggled to comprehend the imminent crisis, with many dismissing his warnings as jokes. From SARS to COVID-19, and now the current wave of unknown pneumonia, the CP's past pattern of withholding information and imposing strict control over society persists. Concerns are mounting that this winter will be exceptionally challenging for the Chinese people. Dr. Lin Xia-Aksu, a virologist in the United States, discussed the epidemic in Asia, highlighting the heightened vulnerability of children. One contributing factor is the 3-year lockdown, which has compromised the immune systems of Chinese children. Deprived of sufficient sunlight and outdoor activities, confined at home during crucial developmental stages, children face hindrances in exposure to various pathogens, impeding the maturation of their immune systems. If a simultaneous outbreak of multiple pathogens occurs, children may struggle to withstand it. The emergence of white lung could result in a death rate ranging between 20 and 40. Another Chinese real estate giant announces default. Powerlong owes billion yuan debt. A debt crisis is unfolding among Chinese real estate enterprises, evident in the recent defaults of multiple publicly traded property firms. Adding to this trend, Powerlong Real Estate, another major player based in Shanghai, has recently declared its inability to meet overseas debts, further exacerbating the situation of constrained liquidity. At present, the company carries a staggering total debt of 163.6 billion Chinese yuan, approximately 22.8 billion USD. In addition, Powerlong Real Estate faces short-term and long-term borrowings due in the current period amounting to about 13.8 billion yuan, roughly 1.8 billion US. Meanwhile, its cash and equivalents stand at 8.947 billion yuan, resulting in a significant funding gap of 10 billion yuan, approximately 1.4 billion used. The current market value of Baoning Real Estate is a mere 2.733 billion Hong Kong dollars, with its stock price plummeting over 90 from its peak in 2021. In its announcement, Powerlong Real Estate expressed that the company has made every possible effort, but it anticipates that its available cash and bank deposits will still be insufficient to meet current and future debt obligations. Notably, from October to November of this year, several listed property firms, including Shanghai-based Xuhui Group, well-established Beijing Hongkong Wei and Guangdong Longguang Group have defaulted on their debts. According to a research report by Huachuang Securities, in the third quarter of 2022, a total of 95 bonds defaulted or were extended, involving 51 subjects. Among the 14 entities experiencing substantive bond defaults for the first time, 12 were related to real estate enterprises.
Chairman of Country Garden would sell everything to support the company. On December 8, Country Garden, China's largest private real estate developer, held a meeting. Yang Huiyan, chairman of the group's board of directors, said at the meeting that her family would support the company's development even if it means selling everything. Yang Huiyan said, based on conservative calculations, as long as our inventory assets are sold normally, even assuming we do not buy land and there are no tax reductions, Country Garden will continue to maintain positive assets in the next 10 years. However, she also admitted that delivery challenges will enter deep water in the next 12 months. Country Garden's delivery volume in 2024 is expected to exceed 400,000 units, which is still a huge number. In 2023, the group tries its best to reduce administrative expenses, and the total amount is significantly reduced by nearly 60% compared with 2021. In addition, as the controlling shareholder, the Yang Huiyan family has fully provided financial support to the company. Since its listing, it has supported a total of approximately 41 billion Hong Kong dollars, approximately $5.25 billion, through borrowings, increasing stock holdings, purchasing bonds and scrip dividends, etc., and has never reduced its stock holdings. Currently, while Country Garden is doing its best to ensure delivery, it is also facing debt problems and declining sales performance. In August, Country Garden, which has total assets of 1.62 trillion yuan, roughly $230 billion, and total liabilities of 1.44 trillion yuan, roughly $200 billion, announced a thunderstorm report, which shocked the entire market. Country Garden's attributable sales in August fell 72.36% year-on-year and 34% month-on-month. Since then, attributable sales have declined month by month, falling to 6.11 billion yuan, approximately $0.84 billion, in November. The report showed that Country Garden's net loss in the first half of this year could reach 48.9 billion yuan, approximately $6.8 billion. The international credit rating agency Moody lowered Country Garden's debt rating by 3 notches from B1 to Caa1, which is lower than junk status. Fitch Ratings downgraded Country Garden Services' long-term issuer default rating from BBB- to the junk level of BB+ in August. In the first 11 months, Country Garden's industry ranking dropped to 7th in terms of sales, which was halved compared to the same period last year. New research report, CCP identifies suppression of Falun Gong as top priority. The Falun Dafa Information Center published a research report on December 6, revealing that since 2017, official documents, speeches, and directives from at least 12 provinces in mainland China indicate that the Chinese Communist Party has identified the suppression of Falun Gong as a top priority for both central and local authorities. The research report cites over 20 references, highlighting the CCP's forceful campaign to eliminate Falun Gong is considered within the party as a fundamental component for controlling the population, sustaining political power, and upholding ideological dominance. In August 2020, Zhao Keji, the then Minister of Public Security of the CCP and State Councillor, addressed the work situation of 2019 during a session of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress, a critical legislative meeting. Zhao emphasized measures to suppress Falun Gong and other proscribed religious groups, subsequently touching upon other security measures, including initiatives related to anti-corruption and counterterrorism. This was one of several public work reports by high-ranking officials at significant party gatherings in recent years that explicitly discussed the CCP's efforts to suppress Falun Gong in Beijing. From 2017 to 2021, the Supreme People's Court and the Supreme People's Procuratorate of the CCP consistently mentioned in their work reports to the National People's Congress the necessity to actively participate and intensify efforts in combating illegal religious activities, resolutely punishing illegal crimes related to Falun Gong and other prohibited beliefs, prevent them from becoming prominent factors affecting political security. On April 15, 2021, during a press conference for China's National Security Education Day, the Ministry of National Defense of the CCP presented the achievements in safeguarding the country's political security over the past 7 years and outlined future work. The first policy implementation goal mentioned in the conference report focuses on Falun Gong and other banned religious groups, emphasizing deepening education and transformation. This phrase refers to the use of brutal methods to compel individuals to abandon their beliefs and express allegiance to the CCP. Mr. Levi Broud, executive director of the Falun Dafa Information Center, stated, "The results of this study demonstrate to the international community that the persecution is ongoing, with millions of innocent people across China enduring cruel punishment." According to recent statistics from Minghui.net, over the past 24 years, more than 5,010 Falun Gong practitioners have been persecuted to death. In just one women's prison in Liaoning Province, 63 practitioners have been persecuted to death. Due to the CCP's persecution and information blockade, these figures represent only the tip of the iceberg. Why does the CCP consider the suppression of Falun Gong a top priority? In response to this question, Mr. Broud explained to the Epoch Times that the persecution of Falun Gong by the CCP is rooted in the nature of the CCP and the essence of communism, which stand in opposition to the principles of truthfulness, compassion, forbearance practiced by Falun Gong. During the initial phases of the persecution, the official media of the CCP admitted that the values upheld by Falun Gong practitioners, truth, compassion, and forbearance, stood in stark contrast to the Marxist ideology of the regime, which was committed to deceit, violence, and struggle. The CCP perceives Falun Gong practitioners' efforts to expose the truth about the regime and encourage people to quit the CCP as a threat. For nearly 25 years, Falun Gong practitioners have persistently clarified the truth at the grassroots level, debunking CCP propaganda against Falun Gong and revealing the brutal persecution against innocent individuals. Since 2005, practitioners have utilized the 9 commentaries on the Communist Party to outline the broader acts of violence by the CCP against the Chinese people and encourage them to quit the CCP, its youth organizations, and affiliated groups, known as 3 withdrawals. The publication of the 9 commentaries on the Communist Party in 2005 triggered a widespread wave of people withdrawing from affiliation with the CCP, with over 420 million Chinese people declaring their withdrawals to date. With the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, some Falun Gong practitioners, acting as citizen journalists, documented and disseminated pandemic-related information. The CCP perceives these efforts as a broader threat to its power, leading to more severe repression by the security apparatus. Wu Xiaoping, a former Chinese human rights lawyer now residing in the United States, emphasized that the CCP persecutes Falun Gong because it views them as a threat, even though practitioners do not see themselves as such. He described the CCP as an irrational and extremely terroristic regime, an enemy of humanity and goodness, and a representative of Satan. The CCP does not allow the existence of true values or anything considered good, making the persecution of Falun Gong a manifestation of its oppressive nature. To comprehend China, one must understand the CCP's persecution of Falun Gong. Mr. Broud remarked, "Many concerns that Western policymakers and scholars believe trouble the leaders of the CCP, corruption, terrorism, and so forth, are actually ranked lower or at least secondary to Falun Gong. Hence, in seeking to grasp China and the endeavors of the CCP's security apparatus to uphold political security, one must commence by examining the persecution of Falun Gong practitioners within mainland China." He proposed that the United States and the international community should broaden sanctions against the CCP. He said, "Any actions addressing severe human rights violations by the CCP, measures to halt these transgressions, which include sanctions against CCP officials, must encompass Falun Gong." Don't forget to comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. If you find the information helpful, please share this video with a friend to watch together. This will be a great source of motivation for our team to produce more and more quality and reliable videos. And also don't forget to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths. Thank you for tuning in.